Of course, today the Conservative Party conference has come to an end in Birmingham. An eventful conference, to say the least. We've had MPs falling out, appeals for unity, and today, the beginning of her keynote speech, even a dancing Prime Minister. But what was it like to be at the Tory Party conference in person? Nabil Najjar is Deputy Chair of the Salisbury Conservatives. He's been at the party conference this week, and he joins me now. Nabil, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself to begin with. I'm interested, what do you do with the Salisbury Conservatives?
Well, I'm Deputy Chairman Political of our local Conservative Association. So essentially I coordinate our political campaigning in the constituency. So if anybody gets a knock on the door on a Saturday afternoon or a leaflet through the door on a Sunday, that's us. I also do some of the outreach work for the association, and at the same time, I'm director of an organisation called Conservative Progress, which tries to build bridges between the grassroots Conservative Party members and the parliamentary party.
What did you think of the Prime Minister's keynote speech today?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a surprise in many ways, not just the dancing, but some of what she said. I think she was confident, optimistic, ambitious, but at the same time she was compassionate, and she showed some real humanity. And she gave a speech which wasn't just a speech as leader of our party, but as leader of our country.
You mentioned the dancing. I mean, for people that haven't seen this yet, and believe me, you will see it on the television news tonight, just to put it into perspective, obviously following the ridicule that Theresa May faced in the press, following her attempts at dancing on that trip to Africa recently, the speech began with ABBA's Dancing Queen being played out around the main hall, the conference hall in Birmingham, and she strode out onto the stage and she did some of her dancing, which I have to say I thought was inspired. But I do wonder, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this, will that overshadow some of the messages she wanted to get across in the speech?
I don't think so. I think the speech was direct. I think it was a speech in which she set out a clear vision for what conservatism is going to do for this country and how we're going to make life better for people. Very clear themes throughout it: security, freedom, and opportunity. And she set out a traditional conservative vision for the country, talking about being pro-business, pro-law and order and security, backing our armed forces. And it's a speech which, to be honest, it made me and many others very proud to be conservatives.
What about the Brexit part of the speech? What did you make of what she said about Brexit?
I think it's impossible to give a speech like that at this time and not mention Brexit. But what she did was call for unity. She made it very clear that she is fighting for the best deal for this country possible, and she isn't afraid to walk away if we don't get it. But she also stressed the importance of doing everything in our power to make sure we have a strong and working relationship with the European Union going forward. I think the most important thing for the party now is to accept that we have to rally behind this, we have to unify in the national interest, and we have to back the Prime Minister to go and get us this deal.
Well, you say that, but the Chequers plan has clearly really divided the party. What are your thoughts on the Chequers plan?
I think I should start by saying our party has been divided on Brexit since the 1990s. This is nothing new for us. But I think the Chequers plan is a viable one. It's one which seeks to maintain a good working relationship with Europe, whilst at the same time bringing back to this country sovereignty and control over our destiny. As somebody who voted Remain in the referendum, I accept the fact we need to leave the European Union. That is happening. She was very clear today that, come March next year, we will be out. But she was also very clear about the fact that leaving the European Union does not mean leaving Europe. These are our closest neighbors and our biggest allies and trading partners.
People are desperate for answers, particularly people in business, people that trade with Europe. They're desperate to know what is going to happen come the end of March next year. When do you think we will get some firm decisions?
I think that's a question for somebody above my pay grade, but I think it's very clear that the Prime Minister is eager to back business in this country to the hilt, is eager to support our businesses, not just in ensuring they can continue to trade with Europe, but can take advantage of a global marketplace and explore new and emerging markets across the world. And I have every faith that a Conservative government will be a good thing for business. She said it today as one short four-letter word for how we're sort of treating businesses, and that is we are backing them. And I have every confidence in her going forward.
Let me ask you a direct question about the future of Theresa May as Prime Minister. Will she remain as Prime Minister, as leader of your party, post-Brexit?
It's impossible to know what the future holds, and that's a question maybe better directed at members of Parliament who actually have the power to take that decision. But from a personal perspective, yes, I'd like to see Theresa May stay for one specific reason, which is that when she stood on the steps of Downing Street when she was first made Prime Minister, she set out a vision for a fairer, United Kingdom. And Brexit has, understandably, sort of gotten in the way of the delivery of that agenda. I think today the Prime Minister stood up and made that case again in an inspiring way. And I would like to see her have the chance to go out and deliver this, and I think she can.
What did you think of what Boris Johnson had to say at the conference yesterday?
I wasn't at Boris's speech, but
you must have read about it in the newspapers.
I have, yeah. I know what was said. I think a man like Boris Johnson carries a lot of weight in the party still, despite no longer being in the cabinet. I think people listen to his opinion. But as I said before, I think we have to accept that now is not a time for partisan divides. I think now is a time for unity, and anything which distracts from that attempt to achieve this unified purpose is, I think, a mistake.
What chance has Boris Johnson got of becoming party leader and Prime Minister?
I think that depends on what happens on the 29th of March. If we get a Brexit deal which is satisfactory, then all of this talk about chucking checkers becomes consigned to history. I think if negotiations don't necessarily go our way, then maybe it's a different conversation.
Nabil Najjar is with me on the programme tonight. He's Deputy Chair of the Salisbury Conservatives. You spoke at the conference yourself, talking, unsurprisingly, about the recent events in Salisbury. Do you think the Conservative government has done enough to bring those clearly behind the attack to justice?
I think the Conservative Party has been resolute, not just in our attempts to bring the perpetrators of this attack to justice, but also to provide the support our city needs to continue to be a safe and a vibrant place. And I was really lucky to be able to give that speech on the stage at conference. It was an opportunity which, to be honest with you, is something I didn't think I would ever have the opportunity to do, but it was a chance to get up and not just thank the Prime Minister and the members of the Cabinet who came to Salisbury, and thank our Member of Parliament, John Glenn, for everything he did, but also a wonderful chance to thank the public sector workers and our emergency service staff who acted quickly and worked tirelessly to protect and reassure our residents, and who really went the extra mile to keep our city safe.
I'm also interested in what's it like once the big speeches are over. I mean, we've seen videos of MPs doing karaoke. We've seen them enjoying one too many drinks. Isn't it just one big party?
Party conference is fun. That's why we go. I've been going to party conference since 2009. I think I've only missed 2 between now and then, and it's an amazing experience, and it humanizes politics in a very almost sort of surreal environment. You're walking through these great venues, and Secretaries of State are wandering along next to you. You get in the lift with them, you see them afterward. It's a reminder that at the end of the day, politicians are people too, and I think sometimes maybe we lose sight of that, and especially when you hear about some of the abuse that politicians get in this country, and Theresa May mentioned this in her speech. Perhaps we should all be a little more mindful of the fact that these are human beings genuinely trying to do the best for the country. I think perhaps, and it may not be a popular thing to say, but I think perhaps we don't give them the gratitude which we should.